take up space and slow down.
You're listening to Good is in the Details. I'm Gwendolyn, and this is another special episode that is partnered with the business networking group Modern Day Wife. And I was able to connect with the lovely, the fabulous Kate Ziuz. She also invited me on her podcast, Confidence Secrets, and I will link that in the show notes. And Kate works with women to help them gain the confidence and the presence when they need to be on stage or for some sort of an important event to gain the proper body posture, language, their clothing. So she is fabulous and does all of this work with women. And I have been thinking about this. I've been reading a really interesting book. So here's your book rec for the day. It's called Dress Codes by Richard Thompson Ford. If you like fashion and if you like history and if you like sociology, this is a really intriguing book that is making me think about this episode with Kate, because the book Dress Codes traces the cultural relevance to how one dresses. It's how you feel about yourself and also how other people perceive you. Now, I know there's times where I think, I don't want to be judged by what I'm wearing. But when you need to stand in front of people and command authority, it is important to be aware of how you are presenting yourself so you know how you're going to be received. Kate did a really lovely job of breaking down concrete steps for how women can put their best selves forward. And just before we get started, I want to remind you to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/goodisinthedetails. When you go there and you sign up, you are helping promote the podcast and allowing us to keep giving you this great content. You can also get a copy of Philosophy Unplugged there. We got a couple of 5-star reviews already. Thank you for that. And now let's get into all the details about putting your best self forward with Kate Ziuz. Kate Ziuz, thank you for coming on Good is in the Details. We're going to talk about confidence in women and what you provide. So let me ask you, how did you get started on this endeavor to want to work with women and how to build confidence?
Thanks for having me here. Absolutely. So my business is called Master Your Presence. It's not only about coaching, it's about transformation. And as all good things happen in our life, one thing led to another thing, and I realized that this is something that I have to be doing and I want to be doing. I have a strong background in corporate, in dancing, performance. I am on a stage since the age of 4, so I combined all kinds of experiences and skills that I gained in different areas to help women to get what they want and to live the life they want and the life they deserve. Because through my career, I realized that sometimes women are not heard. Sometimes women do not take space. Maybe they do not show up powerfully, which led, in my case, for example, not getting promotion, being missed somewhere, or I moved from Ukraine to the US and I worked here in corporate, and here I realized that despite having experience results in my work, I was still underestimated. I had to rebuild my presence from scratch. Yeah, this is how, one thing again led to another. That's my mission, to help women in this area. Presence is not just skill for performance, it's a form of power. That's what I love doing, helping others to step into their power, because it's something that helped me as well.
Yes. And I was thinking about this because I was recently on a trip in Cancun and I had a problem with my ear. And so I had to go see a doctor there. And the resort showed me to a clinic. And I go into this clinic. There's a woman, maybe in her 30s. She's petite. She's listening to what I need and she gives me the forms. And then she says, I am the doctor. And I looked at her and I knew exactly what she meant. Because if she were, let's say, a tall man walking in, he wouldn't have to explain that he was the doctor. I know in my position, I'm also a petite woman, that going into academia or even the classroom, sometimes I have to add, I am the professor, because there's this cultural idea of what power looks like. And so a lot of women show up in this space that requires, mental fortitude. It's not the body exactly, it's of their mind. Like this woman is a physician because she went to medical school. It has nothing to do with her body. I'm a philosophy professor because I got my PhD. So there's that cultural pushback of who has authority. And maybe women fall into playing that role of powerlessness. So what is something something that you've seen, like a transformation of something simple that a woman can do so that when she is in a meeting, for instance, what is a concrete step to demonstrate that presence? She's got the mind, she's got the mental aspect, but she has to kind of push back against this cultural conditioning that women are not as powerful.
I agree with you. And also one thing that made me do what I'm doing right now, that I so maybe you also have seen so many, like, Instagram videos, reels, YouTube videos where men were teaching some body language tricks or techniques, but it's mostly males. It's not necessarily applicable to women because we dress differently. Our body language is different. We cannot take up space the same way as men do it. So it's also something that inspired me to explore what is different for us women and how we can utilize our strengths so we also show up powerfully. I would say, to answer to your question, if we're talking about the setting in a boardroom, for example, or some working formal environment, right? So what can we do? I always will start from three things. From posture, it's your foundation. Then your movements, they should be purposeful, controlled, with intention, and energy. And if I want to sum up and just to tell you one thing, is take up space and slow down. This is something that I always see women do. We tend to rush. For example, I observed it in settings like presentations, or where there is a stage with speakers, or for example, work presentation or a pitch. When someone passes a stage to a woman, like, hey, now it's time for you to talk, for example, mostly women tend to shrink themselves and very quickly come to the stage, like almost tend to be unnoticed. Like, they were sitting behind the table and now they're like teleported to the stage. I always tell, no, this is your moment. It's your time to shine. Take up space, take up additional 2 seconds, stand up gracefully, show up, walk deliberately, like, not rushing those like teeny tiny steps like a kitten. No, they should be the purposeful steps. When you take a stage or when it's your turn to speak, pause for a second. Just let people acknowledge that you are there and now you are in command. Because when you rush, you don't have this opportunity for people to understand what's going on. Like, oh, is she speaking? Not she speaking? Who is speaking now? Like, oh, maybe it's not something important. I can skip it. No, when you pause, when you not rush, and when you take up space with your steps, with your posture, people will notice it. So that's my tip for this setting.
And do you have any advice about clothing or attire? I mean, I know a lot of times when I do speaking, I pull my hair back a little bit or up in a ponytail so that I'm not even tempted to mess with it while I'm speaking. But what would be tips for the actual presentation as far as hair, attire that demonstrates confidence and authority?
I love that question. That comes a lot also in my work. That's very important, but it might not be important in the way many people can think. Because yes, of course, when you go to high stakes events, your outfit does matter, but it's not about wearing the most expensive designer piece or wearing trends, having the most beautiful hairstyle, makeup, which includes those 3 feet long eyelashes. The important thing is that your outfit should be familiar and comfortable to you. That you should be able to move naturally without adjusting or even second guessing yourself. Because if you will be constantly tucking that dress somewhere, or will be feeling that your strap is falling off, that discomfort will show and it will take away from your presence, it will take away from your energy. I will give you an example, even several examples. One of the recent events I attended, there was a beautiful woman, but her outfit, you could tell that it was the first time that she had this outfit, because she was speaking on the stage, like panel speaking, when you sit on a chair or on a sofa. Her skirt was little, literally a very mini skirt. And when you sit on a stage, you should be comfortable sitting. She realized that the skirt was very little and she had to put her hand, on a skirt so she is not showing her underwear and she feels comfortable. What it does, she cannot use now her hand for her gestures, right? Because her hand now is busy. And when we speak, we want to use our gestures. Our hands should highlight, they should support our message. And when you cannot use your hand, it feels uncomfortable for you and unnatural. So now she's like, sitting like this, she cannot use her hands. She has to think about her skirt instead of thinking about her energy, about her message, about connection with audience. So my advice here is to have your clothes something familiar. Even if it's not new to you, it's much better because you already know how this dress or skirt or blouse behaves in different situations. Either you stand, either you sit, or you're walking or posing. So please wear something familiar. Same, I absolutely agree with you with your hair. Of course, you're like a professional speaker. You've been on the stages, different stages many times. So you already know that for you, it's better to have a ponytail, right? Because it just will not distract you.
Mm-hmm.
You know it because you have a lot of experience in this, right? So for some people who don't have a lot of experience speaking or being on stage, a coach is very helpful because I can tell what things might be beneficial for you. If you have this habit to, to pacify your hair, it might not necessarily signal you are nervous. It just may be your habit. For some people, it's biting their nails. For some people, it's touching their hair always. So for these people, yes, if you can avoid this by just changing your hairstyle, that's perfect way to do that.
I love this wearing something that's familiar so that your mind can just focus on what you're presenting. I get nervous about asking about the attire and the clothes because there's a part of me that thinks, but that doesn't have to do with my character or that's superficial. But that's not the way that the world works. If anybody is going to hear what you have to say, you have to also dress in a manner that allows you to think freely and confidently, but also for the other person to take you seriously.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's all a part. And of course, we all say don't judge a book by its cover, but you will not have a second chance to make a first impression.
Mm-hmm.
So everything matters to me. Of course, you will have other occasions, right? You will be able to talk to this person, for example, tomorrow or in the week. But still, why would you risk it? Why would you not take this chance if you just can do something better? You can add a few percent, right, to your presentation, to your presence, to your image. I completely agree that we have to pay attention to everything. Another example, there was a girl, she eventually didn't become my client, but still what I observed that she is a great woman with a great skill set, and she's speaking about marketing, sales, business development, which is a great topic, right? Very interesting and attracts a great audience. But the way she presents herself, she looks like she goes to a nightclub in Las Vegas. It's the dress, some feathers or sparkles. To me, it says something. It doesn't add up to this image of being a serious businesswoman. I'm not telling you to wear wear boring business attire. No, there should be a part of your personality, of course. It can be colors or interesting designs, but still, I believe that everything should be aligned. Another thing that I want to highlight, and just to make you think about it, if we think about old military attire, we think that they had quite big shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm.
They are all structured. It allowed also to show your power and to take more space. And what we have now, men's suits, men's jackets, blazers, they are structured. They have shoulder pads. They give an opportunity even to add to your body, add some structure.
I love a good blazer. I feel like I can rock the world when I put on
Yeah.
that blazer. I feel like I'm ready to go.
Yes, because when we think about signs or cues of power, authority, what words will come? It will be straight lines or sharp angles. While when we think about feminine sensual energy, it will be soft curves, body curves, some elegance. So what I would suggest for women, we don't want to be like, very sharp and to project like 100% of authority. I think we need to find this sweet spot and balance. For everyone it can be different. For someone it can be a good blazer and maybe a skirt or a dress. For someone it can be a silk blouse but very structured pants, right, and sharp pointed heels. So it's about balance, but I would still recommend to have some attributes which will project power, authority, like sharp lines, angles, and something from feminine energy vibe.
So, something I'm curious about in your experience when you're working with women, what is a common, let's say, hang up, or what is a common block you have found that women have when it comes to asserting themselves and their authority and their power? Why is there a need for your service in the first place? Because there definitely is a need, but when you're talking to women, what do you find is on their mind? I just think about this on a big cultural level that I know in my own experience as being a product of the 70s, women are not supposed to be loud, or women are supposed to raise their hand, or they're not supposed to take up space. And so then with my own career trajectory, there was always this tension between what I wanted to achieve and then how I was supposed to present myself as a woman. And so I would imagine a lot of women have these messaging from when they're little girls of how they're supposed to be, which would be at odds with a power authoritative position. So just, yeah, in your experience, what is a common hang up or blockage for women?
So I would say that confidence is great, but it's not enough. Mostly women with whom I work, they are already confident. They were smart. They build their own business, or they have their, for example, blog, or they're going to be compete in pageant, or they already built something. But your confidence is not always visible. You can feel confident on inside, but your posture, gestures, or even sometimes eye contact might not communicate it. So people will not pick it up. They will not perceive you as confident as you perceive yourself inside. Presence is about making your confidence seen and felt by others. And probably more than even 50% of my clients, when I talk to them, first meeting, intake questionnaire, they admit they are confident in what they speak. They are confident in their knowledge, in their practice, in their business they built, but they struggle to deliver that expertise in the way that will captivate an audience and other stuff. For example, many of them, when they were building business, they were very in this part of building business where you just grind, find how to build it, how to do some business processes. And now you have arrived to the part where you need to promote it, to market it. And I built a great business. Why people are not buying, So I need to talk about it. And when they come to social event or networking event, one of the clients, she was like, it's a great business. She has a lot of clients, but when it comes to presenting herself at networking events, feels that she is not enough, that she did not build something big and huge and everything, that she doesn't deserve to be there. So what we just did step-by-step guide on what she has to do when she enters the room, how she presents herself, how she talks to people. In this way, she can be authentic, she can be herself, but still also our goal is to get more clients, right, for her business, or maybe partners like, hotels or other businesses who will need business. So they see her as a powerful business owner who can provide services. So I would say again that confidence is foundation, but presence is like next level that will ensure other people see that confidence, see your expertise, and they perceive you in the same way as you perceive yourself.
I like that, making it visible, making your confidence confidence and your knowledge visible. What are some phrases that women can use in their speech? And what are some phrases to avoid? Women have a harder time, not all women, but some women have a harder time owning their achievements. They'll often credit luck or other people who worked on something. So women talk about a shared achievement. Men don't do that as much. They'll go ahead and claim the credit. And so I would imagine that sociological input of not being too proud is part of the hang up. And so how does that show up in our speech?
I love that. First, something mostly about women. It's about how we accept compliments. Because mostly women get compliments, so it's more applicable to us. What I see, and also it applies to clients who face the challenge that people do not perceive them as knowledgeable. Okay, not knowledgeable, but as mature, let's say, as they are, because the woman can be already over 40 years, have a lot of experience, has her own business and expertise, but people do not perceive her as mature specialist. So how do you accept compliments? A lot of women will say, oh, this old dress, no, I bought it for $10 at Ross, not a big deal, but yeah, thank you. No. Or deflecting. Someone tells you, you look great today. You're like, oh no, it's you look great today. Yeah, thank you. That's you look great. I love your hair. No. One thing that you should remember about compliments, that own it. It's your time to step up into your presence and your power and just acknowledge it. Say the person, thank you. Warm smile. You can add, you made my day. If some people notice those tiny details and you put additional thoughts into putting your outfit and someone noticed it, and you will say, thank you, you made my day. Do not deflect it. Do not justify, oh, I spent 10 days looking for this dress, but no, no one wants to hear it. And when you say it, you immediately just de-evaluate the compliment, de-evaluate your appearance, de-evaluate your efforts you put into your, hairstyle, your outfit. So just say thank you. Are we good
just
here?
Say thank you. I'm like that. I have a hard time with compliments, so that's good. You just say thank you. You don't have to explain
No.
or
Yes,
deflect.
yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Of course, if you feel it and it comes naturally to you, after you say thank you, you made my day, I really appreciate it. Of course, you can tell wow, I really love the way you blah 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 blah. But only if it comes naturally to you. You don't need to be pushed to do this. You don't need to be you don't need to have this feeling to be obliged. It's mandatory to tell someone. No, because in this way you will recognize the person's effort, because someone took his or her time, right, to recognize something, what's special about you. So in this way, when you will just say thank you, you will recognize this effort and you will also make something good for this person. So it's about compliments.
I'm curious, since you're from Ukraine, I'm wondering if you have a point of view about American women and American culture that is unique. What are some cultural issues that contribute to women, or do American women have some similar hangups, or is there something unique about the American woman experience in trying to express confidence?
Yeah, it's an interesting observation, and of course there are always cultural differences. Even when I moved to the US, I first moved to Silicon Valley, to San Jose, and I moved right before COVID times.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it was at the beginning of 2020. It was a realization for me. I never thought about it. How the surroundings, how the nature around you shape your lifestyle, and eventually your lifestyle shapes your style, basically. So in Ukraine, I was growing up and wearing heels probably from the age of 12, 13 years old.
Wow.
I was wearing heels everywhere. And in Ukraine, we have very harsh winters. Ice, snow, they don't clean it as fast as they do in the US. So you can expect a lot of snow. And I've been wearing heels. I haven't seen different. For me, it was normal to wear winter boots in heels, because this was something that my mom was wearing, other women was wearing. It just was normal to me. I didn't know there is different different type of attire. I almost did not own any jeans, and I for sure didn't own any sport attire except for one set, which I wore to the gym because I didn't need to have any other leggings or sneakers. I own only one sneakers pair for 10 years, honestly, because I wore it. It was like a good quality piece from Adidas, and I didn't need it because I wore it only to the gym. When I moved to the US, to California, I was like, okay, people are going hiking, they going to the beach. You normalize wearing something that I always been told to wear only to the gym, to wear to grocery store or just shopping mall or for coffee. Because here you're always in a car, you want to be comfortable, jump in, jump out from the car, walk long distances because you might be parking somewhere in a huge parking lot and need to walk somewhere. This definitely changed my perspective on why people are wearing different things. And also it made me buy a few pairs of sneakers. And it definitely changed a little bit. So it's in terms of appearance and how surroundings shape your style. It was very interesting finding to me. And what it tells us now when I work with women, local women, why it's important. When we show up in boardroom on a stage, we often wear heels. And what comes naturally to me and for many girls from Ukraine, for example, because I also been teaching high heels dances, I see that I have to teach from scratch many women how to walk in heels because it's something different. And also when I was teaching high heels dancing, I was thinking that I will start from techniques. Now we started from literally basics, like how to walk in heels. Yeah, it was just interesting observation. So again, but it's about appearance. In terms of internal confidence and ability to speak up, I think it's more personal trait than cultural, because I think it's almost in all countries we had those tendencies that women were mostly at home, not taking high positions at corporate. I think in all countries, almost in all countries, this tendency is changing and has been changing for a while. So I think it's more like personal trait. For some people it's more comfortable to speak up, for some people it's not. So I wouldn't not say that's necessarily there is a huge difference here. It's something that unites us and our common challenge, to overcome, to show up with more power, to speak up loudly, let's say, not loudly in terms of volume, but loudly in terms of people notice us, and be proud of our achievements.
Thank you for teaching us about ways to present ourselves to be more confident.
Thank you so much, Gwen, for having me.
Good is in the Details is produced by Dr. Gwendolyn and Rudy Salo. If you're enjoying the pod, take a screenshot of this episode or your favorite episode and tag us on Instagram. Good is in the Details pod. We'd like to thank our sponsor, AvonmoreInc.com. If you play bridge or anyone you know who plays bridge, they got to check out AvonmoreInc.com. It's the perfect place for gifts or to set up your bridge party. Tallies, coasters, and smart playing cards, which are also great for kids. Go to AvonmoreInc.com and let them know Good is in the Details sent you. Remember to check out the show notes so that you can get in touch with Kate. Maybe you want to take one of her classes. Listen to her podcast. I highly recommend. I think it's great advice for women who want to be on the stage. I appreciate it. All right, until next time, bye.